Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Monisi, and if you're new here, my channel consists of videos that have DIYs, furniture makeovers, home decor, thrifting videos. Sometimes I'll throw in a few cooking and baking videos. So if those topics interest you, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And I have a playlist of me baking and DIYs and traveling and just our new home renovations and all of those things. So for today's video, since I have so many new subscribers that don't know me very well, I thought that I would introduce myself and give you 10 facts about myself so that you can get to know me a little better. And I'm also going to be making homemade bagels today, and they are chai bagels, which I'm super excited about. If you would like to make this recipe, I will leave the link of the recipe that I used in the description box down below, and let me know if you made it and if you enjoyed it. I'm really excited to try these, and let's begin. So my first fact is that I was born in Brazil. Both of my parents are Brazilian as well. My mom was born in Brazil, lived there her whole life, and my dad was born there. And when he was 4, his family moved to the United States. So then he grew up here and then ended up meeting my mom when he went on a missions trip to Brazil. And he went to visit his family and visited my mom's church. And then he met my mom, and the rest is history. So they got married, and then I was born there. And then 3 years later, my mom was pregnant and we ended up moving back to the United States. So my brother is American and I am Brazilian. So yeah, that's number one fact about me. The second fact about me is that I speak fluent Brazilian Portuguese, and I have a little bit of an accent. My mom says I don't really have that much of an accent, but I do only speak in Portuguese when I'm speaking to her, and English with my dad, which is weird because he speaks Portuguese as well. But that's just how we grew up, and we have like a Brazilian community in the area that I live, which is really such a blessing. So we get together and we have like meals and little parties and all that good stuff. So it's a fun little girls group that we have. It's definitely a blessing. I enjoy speaking Portuguese with them. The only thing is I don't know big words or like the new slang that Brazilians have now, because I haven't been to Brazil since 2012, I want to say, or 2013. I can't remember when the last time was, but yeah, I enjoy it because when my mom and I are out in public, we can kind of talk about things and people don't know what we're saying unless they're secretly fluent in Portuguese, which has happened before. Number 3 fact about myself is that I met my husband in Canada, and he is Canadian. If you guys have been here a while, you know I married a Canadian, and I met him in 2011, and then we ended up dating in 2013, getting married in 2016. I actually moved to Canada for 6 years, so I lived there for 6 years, and it was hard. I think not that Canada is not a good place to live. I think it was just hard for me and for both of us because we could never kind of get financially stable with the economy there, and like the housing prices there were just insane always. So we lived in my in-laws' basement apartment for 6 years, and that was really hard. It's not because of like his family at all. It's just when you're married, you want to be on your own. You want to start your own family. You want to start just the two of you, as one, independent, starting your own life. And that took a long time for us to figure out. So I definitely am thankful for those years that we lived there. And I love my in-laws so much. They've provided so much for us in the 6 years and continue to. And I'm just like super thankful for them. Andrew comes from a big family. He is the second to youngest of 8. So I have a lot of brothers and sisters-in-law, and I love them all very much. Number 4 fact about myself is that I'm actually pretty shy and quiet in real life. Like, I feel like I've been slowly coming out of my shell with even recording on my phone. but I am still very quiet and reserved, and I don't trust a lot of people. I guess an example, I don't know if this is where it comes from, but when I moved here, I was 3 years old. I was a 3-year-old when we moved to the United States from Brazil, and I was so shy going to school when I started school. Maybe it was because I was surrounded by Portuguese all the time, and here I kind of knew a little bit of English for the most part. I could speak it and all of that, but I think it was just like a culture shock for me because it's also very different, like the personality of the USA and Brazilians. Brazilians are very loud and joyful and, you know, just always up in your business. And then the USA, they're very much more reserved and like more serious, I guess. And that was something I was not used to. And an example of how shy I was is when I was in school, the first year I went to school, I would not speak to my teachers, and I had like a select few people that I would speak to in my class. And when the teacher would call on me, I would tell my friend that was sitting next to me, I would whisper to her and she would have to answer for me because that's how shy I used to be, and just very self-conscious, and I was very shy. Number 5 fact about me is that I am a Christian. I love Jesus, and it's a huge part of my life, and that's something that I do not want to hide from anybody. And I was baptized when I was 16 years old in my church, the church I grew up in, and ever since then, I've never turned back. I've never regretted giving my life to Christ, and it's definitely a huge part of my life and something that I want to share in my videos every now and then when I can. Just like testimonies and things like that. I feel like I definitely want to get my brother in a video because we keep saying that we're gonna make a video of his testimony, and I want to do it, but I don't know if we should be like doing a craft while he's giving his testimony, or just doing like a very serious sit down and him giving his testimony of how he came to Christ. Let me know down below what you think. I feel like maybe just a sit down video would be enough because it's a very crazy testimony and it has a lot of darkness in it. So maybe, yeah, I'm gonna talk to him and see when we can schedule that. So yeah, I'm excited to share that with you guys. Number 6 is I almost started a furniture business a long time ago. When I was in high school, I wouldn't say, or like early after I graduated high school, which was like late 2000s, I have always really had this passion for creativity, and I like to paint furniture and different things. Like I would always have a paintbrush and I want to change everything up. Like my dad would joke that my bedroom became smaller because of all the layers of paint that my mom and I would put on the walls in our bedroom. So that's just how I grew up. My mom would always encourage creativity, like, oh, you want to change the bedroom? What's the style you're thinking of? What colors? And she was an art teacher, so she was always very encouraging of just letting your creativity go wild and expressing that. So I really appreciate that. My childhood, she was so encouraging in that sense and in every sense of the word, honestly. But she was always the number one person that would say, why don't you start this furniture business? You know, I think you could do very well back then. And then recently, furniture flipping has become this huge thing, and now I'm seriously considering possibly starting my own business doing this, but there's a lot of steps that I have to take to be able to get there, and I'm just like hoping and praying it works out. But I just think it's interesting that that spark has always been in there, and mostly because of my mom's encouragement and how she would always speak just words of kindness and encouragement in my life, and I just think that's very special. And if you have a mom that does that, just don't take it for granted, because it is very hard to find a mom that encourages that much and just like believes in your dreams and just knows you're gonna succeed. And if you've ever seen my comments, my mom is always there in my videos supporting me, and I just think that's so special. And that brings me to number 7 fact about myself, is that my mom is my best friend, and she always has been. Growing up, she was always, I feel like because we moved to the United States, she was pregnant with my brother and I was a little toddler, and she just moved here, didn't speak any English, and like was super close with her family in Brazil, and she just like abandoned everything there to come here for a better life for us. And she was kind of just thrown into this culture that she had no idea what the heck was going on. So we both, I feel like we clung to each other during that time, because we were both kind of going through the heartache of not having my grandma and my great aunt and like my aunts around all the time like we used to have in Brazil. So ever since then, like we just really we were best friends, attached at the hip always. And speaking of which, moving to Canada was very hard for me because of that, and not seeing her every day, every week. That was very hard for us, but I'm so glad that we're back and I can just kind of drive over to see her anytime I want. And it's definitely been such a blessing, and I love her so much. And if you have your mother as your best friend, you know how special that bond is. And I just feel very blessed to have it. And Mama, yo te amo if you're watching, which I know you are. Number 8 is that I do not have a big group of girlfriends. I've always wanted it. I've always wanted a big group of girlfriends where I can get together and have like a big party bash, Valentine's Day, and all that good stuff. But I do not have that. I have my best friend that's been my best friend since I moved here to the US in '93, and she's been by my side ever since. And I love her. She comes to visit me every now and then, but we talk like almost every single day, catch up on each other's what's going on in each other's life. And that's very special when you have that childhood friend that you can just reach out to and ask for prayer or just kind of give updates on. And as much as I want a big group of friends, I feel like the smaller your circle is, the more genuine you know those people are. And if you can relate, a part of me is very happy that I have a select few that I can trust. But also, it would just be so fun to get a big group of girls together and go have like a tea party or a big pajama party or something like we used to do when we were younger. But I think that once you go through certain things in life, it becomes harder to trust people. And that's kind of what happened to me, is I've just been kind of stabbed in the back too many times to just kind of trust whoever, whenever, if that makes sense. So yeah, I love my small group of friends, and who knows, maybe one day God will send me an amazing group of godly women that I can lean on and hang out with and all that good stuff. Number 9 is that I went to school for interior design, and this was a few years after I graduated from high school. I didn't know what I wanted to study. I took a year off and then I decided to go for interior design. I think I studied for a year and a half, and then like the summer after the first year I went to university, I had my seizures. I started having my seizures, and then like I think my mental health was just not so great then, and I had to stop going to school and kind of focus on my health and kind of calming myself down, because my anxiety was like at an all-time high then. So I took a break, and then when I went back to school, I decided not to do interior design, which if you've watched previous videos of mine, you know that that's one of my biggest regrets, is not finishing interior design and getting my degree in it. So yeah, it's always been a passion of mine, interior design, and who knows, maybe one day I will go back to school and get that degree. So we'll see, but it's interesting that that's what I went for. I actually, when I went back to school, I went for so many different things. Hospitality management was one, social work, and then I just never enjoyed anything I was studying, so I ended up not getting a degree in anything, but it is a dream of mine to get some sort of bachelor's degree in something, so we'll see. So number 10 fact about me is that I almost did not start a YouTube channel. I was always very down on myself and thought, like, what do I have to offer to share people? Also, I don't know how to talk in front of a camera. I am not very confident. Like, what am I gonna share with strangers on the internet, you know? And then 2020 hit, and I think in 2018 is when that desire within me started, like, I should make a YouTube channel, but what I do, you know? And then 2020 hit, and I was stuck in the basement in Canada, and I couldn't come visit my family for the longest time. And that was when I was like, you know what, life is so short. Let's just begin this and see where it goes. And back then I wasn't very consistent, and looking back at videos from back then, it's so funny because I feel like I was even more soft-spoken than I am now, not as confident as I am now, and just it's kind of funny to see, but really cool also because you get to see like how much growth on the screen you can see from like back then to now. And I definitely think that YouTube has helped me to grow in my confidence, and it's been good. It's been really good. And so if you've been here, I appreciate you. As I always say, you guys are such a blessing in my life, and I am so thankful for the community that I've found here, and for the people that have kind of connected with me and suggested to join different creative women groups and content creators who are just like supporting each other. I think it's such a cool thing, and I feel very blessed to be in this community, and I just want to say I love you guys and I'm thankful for you. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what was the most surprising fact about me and something you didn't expect or was interesting to you. Let me know if you guys end up making this bagel recipe, and I hope to see you in the next video.